dating and hooking up separately, though we did have our fair share of like sex parties and foursomes and threesomes, but we liked doing stuff separately more than we liked doing stuff together. So we kind of did a little bit of both.
So you like doing stuff separately than doing it together?
Yeah. So
how so? Like,
okay, wait, just hold on a second.
like,
do you understand what she's saying? She's saying, yeah, we did some sex parties and some orgies and whatnot, but really, me and my husband preferred sexual experiences that didn't involve each other, like that were separate. I was going off and doing something, and he was going off and doing that. Just seemed more fun. Did you register that? What are you doing then as a couple? What are you doing? A backup with a backup? That's what's going on. So let me tell you straight up, that is a backup. That's a girl who is somebody's backup. She's his backup, right? And he's her backup. And they just have like a guarantee there. It's like somebody to come home and cuddle at night with. Oh, he's here and we can laugh and talk and we're buddies. She even goes on to say, by the way, I don't think I cut this part, that's why I'm going to share it. She says that the best sex she's had and the worst sex she's had are with her husband. She said, we've had some really bad periods. She goes on to say, how humiliating, by the way, for the guy. Humiliating, you know. As if this situation isn't humiliating enough, now let's share the fact that a lot of the sex that you have with your own husband is bad. Can't imagine why, given that you've introduced this chaos into the mix. Okay, let's go to 722.
21. We've been together since I was 18, just turning 19.
Wow. So do you think that that's what played a part on like having this like open relationship? Because
I'm gonna
like
say
you guys. Cammy's like, yes.
I do think so in a sense that like I think we both wanted to explore more sexually. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I had my hoe phase before him.
Right.
And it was a very active, beautiful, explorative time for me.
But you can't help when you fall in love with someone. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly how it was. Like whenever I met him,
Okay,
and I
so
fell
let's
in love
pause this
with
for
him,
a second. I really can't. This one is too much. So she's telling you she had the hoe phase before she met the boyfriend, but that was, and it was active, she says. It was very active and explorative, she says. That wasn't enough, though, to then tell her, okay, now it's time to settle down. No. She needed to then find that husband, get married, and then have an active 304 phase in the context of the marriage. So this is just somebody that doesn't want to be committed. Right? What? I don't even understand why you bother to get married in the first place. Does this make sense to you? If you want to do this, why don't you just stay single? It's just, the whole thing is just a farce as far as I'm concerned. What are you even doing? I just don't get it. And imagine saying that, though. Also, they say all the time, these girls, oh, do you feel like you really needed to be polyamorous because you got with your husband so young and like you weren't ready, you didn't like explore enough? Don't you love that leading question? As if like people used to get together early and they were happy, right? So why is society so broken now? You ever hear stories about your grandparents or they were like, oh yeah, we met. I think my grandparents were together on my mom's side anyway. I think they were like 17 and 19. They were together forever till the day that my grandpa died. Then my grandma died later. It was like she didn't go find somebody else at 85 or whatever it was. My grandma lived to 102, so she's a feisty one. Oh, man, I wish she was here. Oh, man, my mom's at home listening to this. If my grandma was here weighing in on this stuff, I'd have to hand the show over to her. It would have to become, like, Louise Live. It would just, I would be lost in the mix. She was me, but, like, really, like, me on steroids. So, but, you know, people used to be happy getting together young, but now they have to... Again, this is the programming. They have to make you feel like if you get together with somebody young, or if you are monogamous young, you're gonna mess your whole life up. Don't do it. Don't do it. You have to have the 304 phase. You have to explore, or you're gonna be so unhappy. Ridiculous. It just was never like that. Why? Because we're in a morally bankrupt society now, and it's nasty everywhere. That's the answer. That's the answer. This stuff is morally bankrupt. Nasty stuff. Okay, let's go to 1633.
It's good to build like a foundation and have that trust with someone before you open a monogamous relationship, but understand that like you also have to like become your own autonomous people before you open a relationship. Like it takes a lot of work. This is not for the faint of heart. I always say that to people. I'm like, if you have jealousy issues, if you have insecurities, if you have codependency, if you have insecurities, like take the time to work on all of that before you ever think about entering non-monogamy.
So do you hear the brainwashing here? Oh, this poor doll. She wants you to think like if you can't handle a polyamorous relationship and you feel things like jealousy, there's something wrong with you. You just need to work on yourself more. You need to go to therapy. No, honey, it's totally normal that when you're involved with somebody that you would have a feeling of jealousy if they then break that agreement or that initial bond and then go and share that intimacy with someone else. That's a normal emotion. In fact, it's a healthy emotion to have because if you don't feel jealousy, you don't give a rat's tush about that other person. Can we all just acknowledge that? You ever been with somebody and you find out they're doing something and you don't even care because you're like not invested? Either you're tired of their bad behavior, you got used to it and you're still there, but you shouldn't be there, but you don't have high expectations anymore, or you just don't care about them. And that's your wake up call that you're like, wow, I don't care about them at all because now I found out they're sleeping around and I'm just like, take her. Right? I'm sure people have been in that situation who are listening right now. So this is a bunch of nonsense. This is a bunch of also this whole like be your own autonomous person. The whole point of a relationship is that you're supposed to be, if you're taking it seriously, this is somebody you're going to marry. That's called sharing a life with someone. That's called someone that you envision yourself having kids with, building a family, building a support system. You should never view yourself at that point in that relationship as two autonomous people, completely separate, who don't need each other and can exist without each other. I don't need a man. I don't need a woman. I mean, just get divorced now if you're looking at it like that. That's just not how it is. You got to be able to lean on each other. Again, you got to be able to support each other. Utterly ridiculous. But that's how they want you to do a relationship now. That's how they advise you to do a relationship. That's all the like, split all the bills, have your own money. You know, it's all about separation. It's all about separation because if men and women are separate and thinking of themselves as separate and, oh, I shouldn't lean on a man, I got to have my own money, this, that, you know, you're never going to have a healthy union. You're never going to have a healthy union. Unbelievable. Let's go to 1920.
Concern is like, what if my partner falls in love with someone else?
And that can happen. And I've talked about it on the episode before. This is what I said in an episode once, and I always stand by this. You know, we are all humans and we have a choice. Like, marriage is a choice. Mm-hmm. Relationships are a choice. Mm-hmm. Everything we have is a choice. Commitment is a choice. You choose that person every day, and that is commitment. And sometimes those choices change because you grow, you evolve. Like, humans are not, you know, static. We want to be dynamic in that sense. So I stand by this. If he ever chooses someone else, that is his choice.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
And
as long
as he's...
Again, she doesn't care about this guy. Can you imagine a woman who really loves her man, who's really invested in her man, wants children with that man, wants a family with that man, saying, well, if he goes out and falls in love with someone else, that's his choice. It just is the way it is. We're evolving creatures. It's all going to be fine. That is not a healthy, normal reaction to that situation. That's also a sign of a broken woman. That's a sign of a woman who's been far too promiscuous, of a woman who's treated sex far too casually, who has disconnected sex from emotion, who has lost contact with her womanhood, and who will probably be incredibly problematic if she becomes a mom as well. Because what type of lessons are you going to be teaching your kids, your daughters in particular, with that type of head? Deeply problematic. But it's also a woman who doesn't, a lot of these modern women, I find, don't even understand men enough to understand that a man wants to feel needed by you. A man wants to feel loved and respected and wanted. A man wants someone who's going to appreciate what he brings to the table. A man wants a woman who's going to fall in love, who's going to do and die for that man, who's going to do and die for that child, who's going to do and die for that family unit. And if that guy's going to go out all day and he's going to work and he's going to not only put food on the table, but create stability for that family and create security for that family and be that rock in that family, which he should be, then he wants that stuff to be appreciated. He wants to know that he's not just wanted, but he is needed because he's bringing something to the table that woman can't do on her own because men and women are different. And that's just is the way it is. A respect for that is deeply important. And that's not what guys are getting. Not from women like this. And it's sad. It's very, very, very sad. If you like the short clip and want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one on Connect, you're going to click right here. Let's get to talking.